My question to whomever takes the time to watch this video, do you know which countries are dumping the dollar? I'm going to show you the most recent president of a country that stated that their people need to dump the US dollar by the end of 2 weeks. There is a massive dollar dump going on in the world, and many are not aware of it. Some are buying offshore Yuan, Chinese currency, since they feel that it might be the world's next world currency. Some are selling the US dollar while it has some sort of worth. The largest financial area that alerted me is the international trade area. Our country's lack of manufacturing of goods is going to haunt us. Since we no longer manufacture anything, and if the US dollar becomes worthless, how will our country purchase goods from other countries in the future? Let's wrap our minds around this and take a deeper look at what other countries are saying in reference to the US dollar. If you didn't see my Fed Now video, then you may want to watch it first. There is a deadline mentioned in the Fed Now video you need to know about that correlates with this same video that I'm doing right now. We really need to pay attention, folks, and stop ignoring things and stop looking at daffodils and rainbows and all these beautiful colors and rainbow glasses, because right about now it's on. It's really on. Let's get into this video. Let's do this. Everything that I'm doing in this video is for informational purposes and also to advise the public of information. So basically, I will be showing something from a news source, and I want to make sure I give them credit as soon as we get down to it. Now, Hal Turner is not a site that I look at all the time, but I was searching for this particular article and ran across exactly what I was looking for when I found it. I saw the video at another source, and I want to show this to you. Now, this is the president of Kenya urges citizens to get rid of the US dollar soon. And it's something called Operation Sandman. Now, that's something I was unaware of. I'm not going to get all into that. But it says here, the president of Kenya today announced to all citizens they should get rid of any US dollars they may be holding because they will become worthless within weeks. And here's a president here. President Ruto is a Kenyan politician who is serving as the 5th and current president of Kenya since 13 September 2022. Prior to becoming president, he served as the first deputy president of Kenya from 2013 to 2022. Today, in a nationally televised speech in Kenya, Ruto said, "Those of you who are holding dollars, you shortly might go into losses. So you better do what you have to do, because this market will be different in a couple of weeks." He actually says that in this thing. I think about it, I'm not going to actually play this. I'll just put the link in my description so you can hear him say this. But those are his exact words. This stunning announcement gives credibility to a rumor that has been circulating for over a year, that 142 countries around the world have secretly agreed to what they call Operation Sandman. For you researchers, that people out there that aren't lazy, search that while we're talking, okay? According to the rumor, Operation Sandman will put the US dollar to sleep by having all 142 countries repudiate the currency on the same day and refuse to continue accepting it for payment in trade. Countries around the world began planning this when they witnessed the then Democrat-controlled US Congress go on a spending spree of several $trillion in omnibus bills. Those countries realized there is nothing backing the value of the US dollars, and they saw that the US Congress has no plans at all to rein in spending. One country's finance minister recently told the US, "We are no longer willing to accept ones and zeros in a bank computer as actual payment for real goods." That's deep. The countries agreed that holding U.S. currency has become foolish because it was becoming worthless as its face thanks to all the rampant overspending by the U.S. government. I'll put this in the link so you can actually be able to check this out. I mean, we actually have a country that doesn't manufacture really anything. Nothing substantial. We buy everything from everywhere else. And my question to you, like I said in the beginning of the video, is once the dollar is gone, what then? How do we purchase things from other countries? How do we function here? Well, the Fed Now video does talk about some of that, but it's very ironic. There's a deadline here in this particular article, and in the Fed Now video, it correlates with the same time frame of a deadline. This is what I'm trying to get across to you guys. I don't think this is make-believe. In another article, China tells state banks to prepare for a massive dollar dump, an Yuan buying spree as Beijing's prior interventions have failed to stem its currency's worst year since 1994. Now, this is the market's insider. This is the insider that's stating this. This was back in September 2022. So this is not anything that's actually new. Reuters reported that China told state-owned banks to get ready to sell dollars and buy yuan in an effort to prop up the local currency. The move could stem the yuan's fall as it remains on track for its largest annual loss against the dollar since 1994. A hawkish Fed has pushed the dollar to 20-year highs this year, pressuring currencies around the world. Now, if you really take a good look and you do some research, the ironic thing about it all, the same entity, I'll say entity, is over all the central banks and all banks. So it's like, how is this person going to our entity going to regroup and not have any losses? Well, if you look at the Fed Now video, you'll figure it out. Now, just in February the 17th, 2023, and this is the news, it's a news bite from the Kitco News. It states half the world to dump the US dollar in future, causing tsunami of inflation and asset price collapse, paving the way for the CBDCs, and those of you that watch the other video knows what that is, and the Great Reset. I'm not going to play the video. I'll put the link in the description for you. As the world moves away from the US dollar, once again, as a world reserve asset, dollars will be dumped globally, causing a tsunami of inflation in the United States as the currency returns to American shores. Interest rates will rise accordingly, followed by a collapse in asset prices, which would be used to usher in central bank digital currency, CBDCs, and the Great Reset. Once again, we already did a video on that. We just did it a few days ago. And very few people really looked at it. You know, it feels really frustrating to try to warn people of something that's about to happen. No one sees it. The dire scenario is a forecast of Andy Schleckman, yes, that's how you say it, president and owner of Miles Franklin and an expert on monetary and economic history. He actually has 3 decades of experience in the precious metals sector, said that the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and South Africa coalition could lead the charge to develop their own reserve currency, which would compete against the US dollar. I don't need to read this whole thing. It's real, folks. It's real. Yep. I'll gladly put this link also in the description because I believe in giving you receipts. You need to have receipts so that way you can read and see exactly what I'm saying, and that way you can further do your research. I am not a know-all, but I am someone that will introduce information as I find it. The US dollar is not the only reserve currency in the world. There are numerous other currencies that are also considered to be reserves, such as the euro and the Japanese yen, British pound, and the Chinese yuan. It says the US dollar status has been impacted by trade agreements and globalization such as NAFTA, GATT, and TPP. I remember NAFTA. How countries are using different currencies for international trade. The past was when international commerce was conducted primarily in one currency. But due to the growing adoption of digital currency, countries are now opting for different currencies for their international trade. That goes back to the CBDCs and the Fed Now video that you need to look at. All of this is all pointing into that direction. This is already planned. It's planned to go this way. It's planned to go globally, and it's planned to go into a great reset. This is the reset that we're talking about. Once again, it says Washington's trigger-happy sanctions may push countries away from the dollar, says think tank. Guys, we're looking at a big production. Everybody knows that they want to do the reset. If you happen to get that book called, I don't even want to say the name of it, but it was about the Great Reset. It's right on Amazon in Kindle form too, as a matter of fact. Central banks are starting to question whether reliance on the US dollar is a good idea, said Gal Luft of the Institute for Analysis of Global Security. The United States has been extremely triggered happy when it comes to the use of sanctions and other economic punishments, he said. Well, honestly, if it hadn't have been these sanctions and all that started this, it would have been something else. This is where people want to go. They want to go digital. And you really need to look at the Fed Now video. I'm not just saying it because it's my video. There's something I put in there that you really need to understand how this is going to come about and why we're having it. Also shows why we have this major mass fiber optics deployment going on in the world. Okay, I didn't mention it in there, but you might be able to put two and two together if you watch that video. But I'll put this link in there as well so you can research. One last thing I want to show you. For those of you that do research, for those of you that are content creators, because you know we all look at each other. When you do a Google search, you know if something has been searched upon a lot, because what you'll see is this people ask area, and you see this is kind of long. What was my search? List of countries dumping the US dollar. Look at all these articles come up, and it's about different countries. I'm not going to go through all of this, but what you should do, if you think this is made up, just go ahead and do a Google search. List of countries dumping the US dollar. There is just so many articles. You'll see this. You'll see, for example, the Swiss franc and the Canadian dollar have been the most resilient major currencies against the US dollar since 2021, largely due to the financial and political stability of those nations. So that's just one, but you should go down here, it'll tell you. So, in closing, I'm just going to say, people, you really need to do your due diligence. You need to start preparing if you haven't started preparing. I mean, I could say rattle off a whole list of emergency supplies and all that you may need. I know payday is coming up for quite a few people on Friday. And then there's bills to pay, all these different things. But make sure you have some dry goods or something in your home to sustain you, because we don't know where this is going to go. And desperate people take desperate actions. And so you may need to also protect yourself. Now, there's a lot of distractions in the world right now. There's a lot of division, which I won't tolerate. Not at this time, okay? I don't care what your political affiliation is. I don't care what your sexual preference is. And I don't care what you call yourself. Right about now, we have a higher priority, and that's us surviving. Now, if your priorities are different, I respect that. But my priority right now is to figure out how we're going to maneuver through the times that are coming up in the next few weeks. Now, I can sit here and talk about something about myself inside my head, how I think I'm justified of being a certain way, or being this, or being called that. All the titles that have been given to us through social engineering. It is the age of Aquarius. If you haven't realized it, we're creeping into it gradually right now. If you have people you care about, keep them close and keep them informed. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and please share this video. We really need to get the word out. Take care of yourself and see you in the next video. Ciao.